Petersen Rock Garden, formerly Petersen's Rock Garden and also known as the Petersen Rock Gardens, is a rock garden and museum on 4 acres, 1.6 hectares, located between the cities of Bend and Redmond in Deschutes County, Oregon, United States. Rasmus Petersen, a Danish immigrant who settled in Central Oregon in the early 1900s, began constructing the garden in 1935 using rocks he found within an 85-mile, 137 kilometers radius of his family home. Petersen constructed detailed miniature castles, churches and other small buildings and monuments from a variety of rock types. He incorporated other design elements such as bridges, water features and natural landscaping. Petersen worked on the garden until his death in 1952. The garden has remained in his family's care since then. The garden, considered a roadside attraction with novelty architecture, includes roaming peafowl and a museum with a gift shop that sells rocks. In 2011, Petersen Rock Garden was named one of Oregon's most endangered places by the Historic Preservation League of Oregon, now known as Restore Oregon. In 2012, accidental damage to one of the stone bridges by a contractor catalyzed an effort to document the garden using laser scanning and other technologies. The garden was closed temporarily in 2013 to undergo repair and review for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. Petersen has been praised for his creative work, and the garden has received a positive reception for its uniqueness and local significance. Listing on the National Register was achieved on October 30, 2013. Description: Petersen Rock Garden, considered a roadside attraction with eclectic, novelty architecture, is located 3 miles, 4.8 kilometers, off U.S. Route 97, 10 miles, 16 kilometers, north of Bend and 7 miles, 11 kilometers, south of Redmond. It contains dozens of fanciful and intricately detailed miniature buildings, including castles, churches and cottages, constructed from agate, jasper, lava, malachite, obsidian, petrified wood and thunder eggs. The 4-acre, 1.6 hectares, grounds also contain roaming peafowl and a small museum with a gift shop that sells rocks, including crystals, fossils and semi-precious gemstones. The museum features a fluorescent room with miniature castles constructed from manganese, tungsten, uranium and zinc that glow in the dark. Petersen Rock Garden is open every day from 9 a.m. until closing time, which varies depending on the season. As of 2009, admission is $4.50 for adults at self-pay stations. It is not a member of the Oregon Museums Association. History: Rasmus Petersen, a Danish immigrant who settled in Central Oregon in the early 1900s at age 17, began constructing the rock garden on the grounds of his family home in 1935. The eccentric farmer used rocks that he found within an 85-mile, 137 kilometers radius. He attempted to evoke his native country with his designs, but also created monuments to the United States, including a concrete American flag and a 7-foot, 2.1-meter replica of the Statue of Liberty. Petersen incorporated other design elements such as bridges, water features, lagoons, lily ponds and streams, and natural landscaping. He worked on the garden until his death in 1952. The garden has remained in his family's care since then. A bronze plaque in front of the Statue of Liberty replica reads, "Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think." Petersen's Rock Garden became known as Petersen Rock Garden in the mid-1950s. At its height, supported by traffic from the old Bend Redmond Highway. The garden drew approximately 150,000 visitors a year. The garden is managed and owned by Petersen's grand-stepdaughter, Susan Coward, and her family, who has struggled to maintain the lawns and dozens of sculptures. In 2011, the garden was named one of Oregon's most endangered places by the Historic Preservation League of Oregon, now known as Restore Oregon. The Endangered Places program raises awareness of the state's historic treasures in need of the advocacy and support to save them from demise. According to the League, the deteriorating garden needed maintenance, a business plan and a publicity campaign to ensure stewardship and funds are available to overcome vandalism, theft, and condition issues. In 2012, a contractor accidentally damaged one of the stone bridges, catalyzing an effort to document the garden using laser scanning and other technologies. The Portland-based company I-10 measured and archived the site's geospatial data, allowing potential future rebuilding to match the original construction. The garden was closed from February 1 through May 24, 2013 to undergo repair and review for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. The family and 10 volunteers worked for nearly 6 months to restore the grounds. The cleanup process included the removal of dead vegetation and junk from outbuildings, and an estate sale that included items from before Petersen's death. On May 25, 2013, Petersen Rock Garden hosted its grand reopening. The opening was attended by members of the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, who sang and blessed the garden. Coward has considered opening a cafe on the grounds, and turning the family home into a bed and breakfast. Owen Evans, a friend of the family who has assisted with the restoration, has also envisioned a museum reorganization, a small amphitheater to host outdoor concerts and other events, and additional rock sculptures mimicking Petersen's style. Petersen Rock Garden was added to the National Register of Historic Places on October 30, 2013. Reception. According to the Northwest Digital Archives, photographer Myron Simons typed the following description of the garden during the 1940s within a photo album that is now part of University of Washington Libraries' special collections. Miniature castles, picturesque fountains and beautiful terraces within the grounds pictured here. On the Rasmus Petersen, place between Bend and Redmond, Oregon, tell their own stories, but unless the visitor inspects the grounds carefully, and with a questing heart, he will fail to read the strange stories told by the ancient stones used in the construction. Look twice at that bit of petrified wood, for it is a remnant of a great redwood forest that once flourished in central Oregon. Examine that banded rock carefully. It is a bit of a thunder egg hatched in the lavas of old Oregon. Feel the cool surface of those glass-like rocks. They are volcanic glasses melted in plutonic fires. Trace the growth rings on that bit of petrified sequoia. They tell her story of weather born of oceans that swept over beaches now elevated into Oregon mountains. Enjoy the blooms of these rock gardens, but do not overlook the stories of the rocks. Petersen Rock Garden has attracted visitors from around the world. In 2009, the Oregonian's Terry Richard wrote that Petersen's work is more than a half-century old, but it's still amazing. The Historic Preservation League of Oregon considers the garden a real gem for its local significance and its unique expression of mid-century roadside architecture. Moon Publications described it as a full-fledged rock fantasy, and a rock garden to end all rock gardens, with a funky museum. Via the online magazine for the American Automobile Association's West Coast Club, called the garden folksy, and Petersen imaginative for his work. The garden has inspired at least one other Oregon resident to construct rock sculptures. Following his visit to Petersen Rock Garden in the early 1980s, Ira McKisson built nearly a dozen castles on the terraces of his Rena home. Some of them have since been relocated to his daughter's house, located 5 miles (8.0 kilometers) west of the Dallas along the historic Columbia River Highway, U.S. Route 30. In 2013, Penan Bray released a music video for the song, Don't Know Nothing About Love, which was filmed at Petersen Rock Garden. See also, Geology of the Pacific Northwest. List of museums in Oregon. National Register of Historic Places listings in Deschutes County, Oregon. Petersen Rock Garden at Roadside America.com. Photos by Paul Tice and I-10. 2012. Including 3D models and laser scans. Friends of Petersen Rock Gardens. Having the largest collection of photographs from inception of the gardens to the present.